Hello everyone, this is Rugio Duelis back with another video. Okay guys, I'm once again back, this time again with my Marincess deck. I came in first place, so for the, I'd say for the very first time in a long time, or like months, I believe a year over a year, I actually finally won a tournament at locals. It was a 30 player local tournament with Marincess, went undefeated, 5 rounds of Swiss. I know it wasn't that long since it hasn't been that long since I last uploaded. And guys, before I get started with the deck profile, I want to start with something a little bit different. So moving forward, I'm not going to be doing box openings anymore because those take a little bit too long. I've heard rumors that supposedly box openings are not so great anymore. But I'm usually not that thrilled anymore about doing box openings. From now on, I think I'm just going to stick at the moment with deck profiles. And as I improve my deck and as I improve playing with my decks and, just having some fun, testing different things out. If you guys seen the channel for some time, I only have 3 decks, Marincess, Salamangre, and Fluunderies. Again, I just want to, I'll read it one more time. Just want to locals in a 30-player tournament. It was 5 rounds. I believe the last time I did a Marincess deck profile, I forgot to mention the names, all of the round names. So this time it was, it was Sword Soul, Vanquish Soul. I believe it was Red Dragon Archfiend, and the last 2 were Manadium Scareclaw, and the final deck was, oh my goodness, I'm having Alzheimer's. I believe the final deck that I fought against was... never mind. Sorry, guys. I forgot. Let's get started. It's been 2 minutes. So not much has changed. Maybe except a couple of cards. Let's start up with the main deck. Then we'll work our way onto the side and the extra. So we'll start up with triple copies of Blue Tang. Blue Tang is kind of like, in a way, the heart and soul of the deck. If any of you have played Salamangre and know of Gazelle, which recently came back to 3, you know that Blue Tang is basically the Gazelle of the deck. Foolish Burial on summon, sending any Marincess monster other than herself. And again, she's part of duality when she's used as link material for any water link monster. Does not have to be Marincess. You max out on her, of course. Let's speed things up a bit. I think a lot of you already know how this goes. 3 copies of Spring Girl. She's the second best extender in the deck. Very, very good. You always want to have her in hand and get her to your hand as soon as possible. 3 of her, of course. And 3 copies of Marincess Seahorse. She is probably, yes, most definitely the 3rd best extender in this deck. You also max out on her. I've been thinking about playing, cutting her to 2 because I do, the deck is pretty consistent in getting most Marincess cards, and maybe just play something else that can make it a bit better. But still, there are 2 cards in this deck in which I played 2 copies that I'll let you know soon enough what that is. That kind of forces you to max out on the 3 main Marincess monsters, but more on that a bit later. Then I played 1 copy of Marincess Basilodema. I cut this out months ago. I decided to put this card back in because it's so good to protect your monsters from being destroyed by card effects. And again, it also, when this card is banished, it also boosts one of your monsters. Does not have to be a Marincess monster by 600 points permanently. So that's a pretty neat bonus. I am putting this card again because there's so much popping in the competitive scene right now. Again, against Unchained even more so. So again, and she has done wonders. She's helped me a couple of times. At 1 copy though, because sadly, you want to send her to the graveyard. You do not want to special summon her. If you have her in your hand, you want to pitch her, and again, that way her effect is live in the graveyard. So yeah, that's it. That's 10 monsters. Let's get to the next batch of monsters. 2 Marincess Pascalas, of course. I say she's definitely number 3 in terms of like important extenders. But you do not want to get Imperm or Veiler when you summon her, but sometimes it happens. Inevitable. 2 copies. 3 is a little bit too bricky. Definitely 2 is the best ratio for her. And to finish off the Marincess monster lineup, so you can see them all, 1 copy of Sleepy Maiden. Yes, just like Basilema, I also cut this card out a few months ago, I believe. But I'm putting it back in. The field spell needs to be protected. This card protects it. You won't always see this card, but still, if you see it and if you can special summon it, even better. And again, it is pretty beefy in terms of defense power, so there's that. Still on the monsters, but not Marincess related, we play one copy of Silent Sea Needle. This guy special summons itself. If you have any water monster, does not have to be Marincess generically, and it helps for rank 4 plays. He also recycles up to 3 water monsters from your graveyard by banishing itself as cost, so sadly he doesn't let you like draw cards, but it's good for recycling certain extra deck monsters that I will get into shortly. One copy of the Adularia of the June Moon. Not sure if I showed her my last deck profile. I believe I did. I'm only playing one. At first, people were maxing on her so that you can do a certain combo, which I guess you guys are some of you might be familiar with that combo. But just one. One's doing pretty okay. I used to play 3, then I cut her completely, but I think 1 is the best ratio for me, at least right now. We're close to finishing with the monsters. Then we're main decking 3 copies of Ice Jade Ran Agering. This card is nuts. It's so good. It actually, funny enough, she does not brick. Very good. I maxed out on her. She hasn't brick. It's a very great card. Very great extender. She allows you to go into Marincess Coral Anemone, which is the link to much faster. Great card. I highly recommend it. If you want to play it, if you can play it in Marincess, please play it. You will not regret it. And if you saw my last deck profile, you know what this card is for. And the final monster in the main deck is, of course, the Water Barrier statue. Because what better way to win a duel than annoy our opponents with this and only lock him and ourselves into water? But we don't care because we are playing a Water Cybers deck. That's it with the monsters. Let's go on to the spells. One copy of Marincess Battle Ocean, aka the field spell. I'm still on 1. I could bump it up to 2, but again, I don't want to break, and I want the deck to be as consistent as possible. The deck still can win duels without this card. It is a little bit harder, but if you know the combo lines very well, you can still pull it off. Me, I can more or less like win in the grind game even without this card, but this card is kind of like what makes the deck. That's just how it is. Continuing on with the spells, we're playing 2 copies of Dive. Dive is, you have to play 2. 3 is a bit bricky. 2 is the perfect ratio for this deck. And it locks you into waters, plus it's a Monster Reborn or Emergency Teleport / Special Summon a Marincess from the deck, so why not? 2 copies of Signet Mining to search for our Marincess monsters, or most of them. Sadly, I cannot search for Sleepy Maiden because she's level 5, but it's fine. We just need to search for any of these 3. Once we get any of these 3 cards, we are good to go. 2 though. I used to play 3. I think 2 is the best ratio. Plus, this is hard once per turn. You don't want to draw multiples. It has happened in the past. It still happens, very, very rarely does it happen. But yeah, that's it. Continuing on with the spells, 2 copies of Ice Jade Cradle. This will let us search for this generically, and there's no drawbacks. You don't pay life points, nothing. It's crazy. I didn't know this card existed. I believe I showed this card in my last deck profile. I am playing it at 2. I think 3 is a little bit too much. 2 is the perfect ratio. I have played the deck enough to know that 2 of this is okay and 3 of this is like the perfect ratio. I could not ask for better ratios. And of course, the reason why we're still playing 3 Seahorse and we have to play this is because if we cut Seahorse, then we risk, Kashtira is no longer in the format, so why not play this card, which is semi-limited, more draw power, get to your resources much faster. It is risky. I have found myself in situations where I probably lost the duel with this card, but funny enough, there was a duel during the this tournament in which I resolved this twice, and I still ended up winning, and I had literally 1 card left in my deck. So in the grind game, the deck is good. It is very, very good. Even if you play 2 pots. Again, sometimes it's luck based, but yeah, I'm trying it out. I think the pot of desire is still pretty decent, but make of that what you will. Continuing on with the spells, 2 triple tactics thrusts. You need to see your combo pieces. You need to see this. You need to see this. These are all normal spells as well as what's left of the deck. I am playing 2 because I want to see the cards ASAP. I might cut it back to 1. So far, but it has not break funny enough. I think the card is good in the main deck at 2. Could cut it to 1. All up to personal preference. I may or may not cut it, but I think I'm feeling confident with 2 as of right now. Continuing, 1 Herald of the Abyss for monsters that are unaffected, like the purely boss monster, or like cards like Psychic and Punisher, Geo Mathmech Sigma, which is the synchro for Mathmech in the extra monster zone. This deck also has a monster that's unaffected by card effects, so in a mirror match, I mean, if we can bait the Omni Negate for spells and traps, this can get rid of the Link 4. But if they have a second monster on the board, which they will once they use the Omni Negate of our dear Link 4, then it's not worth it. But you know what I mean. This card's purpose is to get rid of like monsters that are unaffected by everything. 1 in the main deck. I was side decking it, but even in games 1, I'm seeing monsters that are unaffected, and I'd rather have this and search it with this than, better to be safe than sorry. You guys understand. Moving on. 1 Day of Peace. This card, I've always, ever since I made the deck, I've always played this card. For some reason, it has never been bad. Yes, you give your opponent a draw, resources, but it guarantees you a turn. And I mean, in time, it's great. And quite honestly, the card, it's so good. It helps me so much. I don't know. I decided to. It's just come natural for me to play this as a staple for this deck, but it's all up to personal preference. We're almost done with the spells, and then 1 of regular Foolish Burial, which is limited, and 1 copy of Foolish Burial Guts, which is not limited, but this is heart once per turn. Regular Foolish Burial is not. And the final spell in the deck, 1 copy of Heartbeast Feather Duster for the back row. I believe I used to side this. Not. I don't quite remember. I think I do. Yes, but I'm main decking it because back row's a thing. Plus, there's these 2 to search for this. So, and the final 5 cards of the decks are the trap cards. Let's go into them. 2 wave. I said it before. 2 wave is the perfect ratio for this deck. Some people just play 1 in the main deck and don't even side another one. Everyone's entitled to play whatever ratios they want. Me, I think 2 is the best ratio. You want to see this card ASAP. 3 is definitely too much. I think 2 is the perfect ratio. 2 copies of Gozen Match, the best floodgate for this deck, or continuous lingering, or continuous trap card, I should say. Well, they're the same thing, but main decking 2. Most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but I'd rather have this going first and lock my opponent for playing the game than not having it. So, and finally, Ice Barrier. Yeah, I believe I showed this card in my last deck profile. You guys know what this card is for. You just want to send it off the Foolish Burial Goods here and get to Adularia and get to good old Barrier Statue. That's this card's purpose. That's its second effect. Its first effect, funny enough, it actually works. Sometimes I did find myself in the tournament in a situation where I had the Barrier Statue, so I just normal summon the Barrier Statue, set this past turn. They're gonna attack the Barrier Statue. You activate this because this card's first effect is during the battle phase. Negate the monster that's attacking the Barrier Statue and drop its attack points to 0. So if you do it on declaration, the Barrier Statue will destroy the monster by battle, and basically it'll buy you a turn. And then, if you can draw your combo pieces for your next upcoming turn, well, you might have full combo and you might win the game. And that's the main deck. I believe it's like 12 minutes already, so let's head over into the extra and side. All right, let's get you out of the way. So for the extra deck, it's the same old 2 Blue Slug, 2 Sea Angel, 1 Coral Triangle. This is the standard Marincess lineup. 2 Coral Anemone, 1 Crystal Heart, 1 Great Bubble Reef, 1 Marble Rock. These are the 3 cards that you don't see in the beginning. These 3 you see them more so in the grind game, and they're so great in the grind game. Yeah, but you're mainly going to be summoning these 4. Then moving on, good old Zelantis. This card is basically at this point a Marincess card. It's so good. It helps you clear boards. It helps you like lock the game in a way and just OTK. 1 copy of Ice Jade Giant Agering, the generic synchro monster. That's why you main deck ran Idrin, the effect Ice monster, to make this card. This card is very good in this deck. It actually helps this deck a lot. Play around other things. Bahamut Shark slash Totally Awesome. Good old Froggy here package. And of course, that's 14. And 15 is Aqua Argonaut, the boss monster slash main lady of the deck. And that is the extra deck. No need to explain too much of this. You guys have seen this before. Now for the side deck. 2 Dark Ruler. I used to main deck one and side deck the other. This time around, I decided to side deck them both. Because I have one, but I wasn't seeing it. And it never came up. So not seeing too many combo decks that like need multiple negates. So yeah, Dark Ruler. I decided to side deck 2. Let's move on, shall we? 2 Forbidden Droplet. I was playing 3. I might bump it up to 3 again, because there is a card I side deck here that never came up. So 2 Droplet. This card is good again now that Cashier is no longer in the format. Then, and this is the card in which I might cut for 3 Forbidden Droplet. It's Cosmic Cyclone. 1 for back row removal, but I've never see it, so I might just cut it and put it in the 3rd Droplet. After that, we are playing 2 copies of Lightning Storm for massive back row removal. 2 Dimensional Barrier for certain decks and lock the game. 1 Anti-Spell. Now, if you see my previous deck profile, I believe you saw that I played 2 Anti-Spell in the side for Salamangreat. So for this deck, I opted for 1, aka the 3rd one, because this deck is more so heavy on the spells, so I'd rather just play 1 Anti-Spell that like locks my opponent instead of playing multiples and like maybe luckily I draw it. So 1 is fine. We have Goes a Match for Floodgates anyway, so. And then the final 5 cards. Let's start off with Macnama, which just got limited, and 2 Dristworm. Still trying to find a 3rd one, but I think this trifecta is pretty decent. This is probably what you need for a bestial package. It hasn't come up yet. No, that's not true. Actually, a Dristworm came in pretty handy during one of my duels in the final few rounds. A 2nd copy of Herald of the Abyss, just in case, because I have seen situations in which having 2 is better. Like if you can you open up 1 and then you can thrust for the other. If you open up multiples, you can get rid of multiple monsters on the board. Plus, I play Master Duel, so this card, having it at 2 in Master Duel, I'm just testing it out. So again, 1 main deck, 1 side. And the final tech card, I believe you saw this last deck profile, I can't quite remember. A copy of Your Finish. This card is awesome. I was at another tournament last week, and this card nearly broke my opponent's board. Sadly, I didn't win the duel, but it guaranteed. But I managed to draw with my opponent using this card. So basically, this card reads, once both players activate up to 10 card effects during the turn, you can activate it. It's a Cyber's monster, 3000 attack and defense. And then on it's a monster card and a trap card. And if your opponent activates any effect, anything, monster, spell, or trap, you set this face down on your side of the field, and it destroys all of your opponent's cards on the field. All of them, the front row and the back row. Testing this out, this is a great card, but the card has to be timed perfectly in order to max out its power. And that's it. That is my Marincess deck profile for today, guys. I won with this deck. I'm getting better at it. I'm starting to like it just as much as Fluunderies. I guess I've mastered it in a way. I might try playing this deck. There's a regional coming in here in a few weeks, like in a month, I believe. I might play with this instead of Fluunderies for the regional, but I'm not quite sure. But there is a 4th deck that I'm making. I should be doing a deck profile on that 4th deck because it's related to some of the new cards coming out in Age of Overlord, which is the new main core booster set we just got. But more on that in the upcoming weeks. For now, again, it's Marincess, Water Cybers, my deck profile, 1st place. Sorry I didn't give you guys the full list about all my W's. I believe I mentioned 4 out of 5 decks, but maybe next time. I think I'll just grab a piece of paper and write it down myself before the video. So hope you guys enjoy, have fun, and play if you can.